The colony does not know it yet, but everything has already changed in this moment. They sense something wrong, not through thought, but through sudden chemical silence. Egg production has stopped, and no signal replaces it. Without her pheromones, coordination begins to fracture immediately.
They repeat the contact, searching for a response that never comes.
For the first time, the colony's center emits nothing at all. Confusion spreads outward faster than any alarm. Instinct drives them to protect what can no longer be saved. Defense activates automatically, even without clear purpose. The reproductive heart of the colony has stopped completely. They verify again and again, unable to accept the absence. Chemical authority has vanished without replacement. Each ant carries uncertainty through touch alone. Perfect organization begins to break into fragments. They protect a position that no longer holds power.
The future is suddenly limited to what already exists.
Without new eggs, preservation becomes the only option. The colony's rhythm falters without chemical timing. Efficiency collapses first, long before structure. No instinct explains what happens next. Suppressed biology begins to awaken quietly. Cooperation starts to strain under uncertainty. Multiple weak signals replace one dominant source. Defense still exists, but timing is already failing. The queen's absence reshapes every behavior.
Reproduction attempts begin, but without direction.
Care continues, but accuracy is lost.
Not all life created now can survive. Scarcity arrives faster when order disappears.
From this point forward, the colony cannot return to what it was.
With coordination gone, movement turns inefficient, and every task now takes longer than before. Care continues, but certainty no longer guides each decision. Defense still exists, yet timing slips without a central signal. Reproduction attempts emerge, but they lack genetic direction. The colony tests solutions that evolution never intended. Without the queen, most new life cannot progress. Resources begin to concentrate only where survival seems possible. Scarcity turns cooperation into competition.
Internal conflict replaces external focus.
The source of order becomes an ignored relic.
Defense routines persist even when purpose fades.
Too many weak signals create confusion rather than clarity.
Precision disappears before structure collapses.
Maintenance stops when priorities fracture.
The nest begins to physically decay.
Safety replaces expansion.
Without hierarchy, aggression turns inward. Care becomes selective, then rare. The next generation shrinks rapidly. Even her remains no longer command attention. Desperation converts care into survival.
Specialization collapses without structure.
Resources lose value without planning. External threats return unnoticed. The colony fragments into isolated groups.
Strength without coordination fails.
Purpose dissolves into motion without meaning.
Chemical memory erases itself.
The nest loses its core.
The collapse has moved beyond confusion and into decline.
With coordination gone, even simple movement now consumes precious energy.
Care fades when survival becomes uncertain.
Defense weakens without synchronized timing. Tasks once shared now fall on individuals. Energy is spent faster than it can be replaced. Only viable life receives attention now. Retreat replaces expansion.
The colony contracts inward.
Strength without coordination becomes useless. The source of life becomes part of the decay. Neglect invites decay. Survival now depends on avoidance. The future is no longer protected. Reserves vanish quickly without planning.
External threats exploit internal collapse.
The colony can no longer support the weak. Dispersal begins.
Unity dissolves into isolation.
Defense is no longer sustainable.
The heart of the nest is silent.
Chemical communication disappears.
Movement continues, but direction is lost. The structure outlives its inhabitants.
Specialization offers no advantage anymore.
Escape replaces cooperation.
Without coordination, defense fails completely. Population collapses rapidly.
Activity fades towards silence.
The colony ceases to exist as a unit. Decline has turned into irreversible collapse. At this stage, survival is no longer collective, only individual. Without a future to protect, care completely ends.
Defense exists in form, but not in function.
Physical strength disappears with organization.
Withdrawal becomes the final strategy.
Nutrition shifts from growth to mere survival. Specialized roles offer no protection anymore.
External pressure accelerates collapse.
Social bonds dissolve completely. The colony's origin becomes a biological relic.
Decay replaces organization.
Survival depends on constant retreat.
Population density drops below sustainability.
Strength means nothing without coordination.
Dispersal completes the breakdown of society. The nest no longer functions as shelter.
Exposure replaces protection. Activity fades toward extinction.
Care disappears entirely.
The core of the colony is silent. Chemical communication ends permanently.
Defense is no longer possible.
Structure outlives society.
Individual survival replaces collective existence.
The colony dissolves into fragments.
Access to resources disappears. The nest turns hostile.
Coordination is completely lost.
Life fades unevenly. The colony has reached functional extinction. At this point, survival is accidental rather than planned. The nest, once protective, now becomes a hazard. Defense ends not in battle, but in stillness. Without cooperation, effort no longer brings reward. Paths that once connected life now lead nowhere. The colony's center is erased from the structure.
The environment turns against its builders.
Social order has completely vanished. Individual survival reaches its limit. The origin of the colony becomes indistinguishable from the Earth. Life transitions into decomposition.
The nest begins to disappear physically.
The system no longer reacts.
No future was carried beyond this point.
Time smooths over biological history.
Absence replaces activity.
Protection has no meaning without life.
Nature absorbs the structure entirely.
Chemical memory fades last.
Society leaves no permanent mark.
Silence becomes complete. Access to the nest is gone forever.
Extinction is final at this scale.
The center is forgotten.
The colony's story ends without witnesses.
Life has moved elsewhere.
Construction without continuity cannot endure.
Balance returns without the colony.
One loss was enough to end everything.
When the queen ant dies, the colony does not transform. It disappears.